Okay, here we are again. I thought I was videoing a minute ago. Evidently I wasn't. You can see there's a gap. There will be a uniform gap all the way around this thing, and it'll have a nice piece of wood in it to fill that. I'm going to trim it right here. You can see where the black line is. That's all I'm going to be taking off so that everything is dead even, so that when I put the wooden frame in there, it's going to keep everything perfectly uniform. This panel is, everything else is lined up perfectly. I mean, this thing's awesome. I've gotten all the bows and waves out of it except for this one, and it's dipping down instead of it being bowed up and twisted like the others were. This one is just dipped down right here. So I'm going to flip it upside down, and I'm going to weight it at about the bridge of the nose, and then that will absolutely take care of that. It'll probably need just a few more days of the straightening and everything, but as you can see, these panels line up perfectly, and this one actually lines up perfectly with them as well. So all I got to do is get the bow out of this one, and everything's going to line up and be perfect. Then the thin wood frame will go in it all the way around, and everything will be nice and uniform. And I'm going to make sure that it's already actually pretty straight, but there's a spot right here I'll take down with the sander, and then that'll all be uniform. This right here, everything is going to fit beautifully when I get the real thin wood frame in there all the way around it. So it is gonna look fantastic. I am super stoked about it. I only have to mess with this thing to get these straightened. I spend about, I don't know, 15 to 30 minutes a day messing with it and making sure I've got the panels in the right position to where they're not. So as you can see, they are not, these are not bowed anymore, and this one was actually the worst by far. This one, I wasn't sure how far out it was because these two, this one had a serious twist, and this one was very bowed and twisted. This one I waited for a couple of days, stretched out and weighted it, and it went right back flat just in a couple of days. These have taken a couple of weeks to get to where they sit flat and flush. So the only thing I have left to do is to weight this one for a couple of days right across here on its backside, and then everything is going to line up perfectly. That once everything is straight, that's when I will check and make my cut right there, and I will go across the top here and make sure with the sander that everything is flush. You can see that comes up just a little bit right there. So all of this will be perfect and flush. Everything will be straight and gorgeous. And you know, again, I've spent 15 to 30 minutes a day almost every day with this thing trying to get them straightened out. Sometimes it's a little bit longer. Sometimes I'll come out 2 or 3 times a day because I don't want anything to get past the point of where it's perfect, because you stretch it the wrong way, then you got to go right back. So this one's going to get stretched out and weighted right there upside down, and then everything should fit back perfectly. So it has been worth the time to do this, because I surely didn't want to hang it with it all gaggled up like that, because when it's standing, it would have just gotten worse. All the panels would have twisted more and bowed more. So I didn't want to do it that way. And like I said, you can see how perfectly these line up all the way down. This one would have if this one didn't have the bow in there, and this one is going to line right up with everything else too. So once this little twist and bow is taken out, because you can see the corners up high over there, so there's a twist at that end this way. It's doing that. So I've got to get this part flattened out. Well, it raised up from here, but this part's got to come up, and that twist has to come out of it. So I've got to weight it in probably 3 places, but the most weight will be right there to get this to come back up. and I'll work on that twist right there. I probably could take care of most of that by installing it, but the problem is when you pull the twist down, you're going to mess up all these lines. So I'm being very careful to make sure this thing is perfect, and I'm going to take care of that twist, this right here, and I don't think there's any twist at the bottom. The bottom's great. It's right about here that it starts to really get out of whack. Right about there, actually, it starts to get out of whack, and it never does come back in line. So I've got to get this raised back up and get that little end twist out of it, and then I know that this thing's gonna hang perfectly. And once it's installed, there will be no twisting and turning anymore. It'll be fine. So I'm also thinking about I know I've had to paint this thing so many times, but you never really know about pieces like this until you are hanging them and doing them. So I think I'm gonna go get a couple pieces of flat bar, and right about here, or I may just put one. I may just put one just across the center, just so that when I install it, I can screw that in, and that'll be on a flat piece of steel. That'll help it keep from doing all that. It'll also, I mean, it couldn't possibly wobble when it's installed. It's going to be installed on a brick wall. So, but we're going to make sure everything fits perfectly, is uniform, and I'm going to get the I was really hoping to do this today. As you can see, I marked it, but that's just too much, and I'm not going to be able to do anything about it if I don't do it now. So I'm going to take this panel out, put it up here, stretch it, and I'm going to weight it and properly so that I get that twist out, and I get this raised up the 1/2 inch or a little bit more, but it needs to come up right there. And then this Buddha is just going to be stunning. It is just a stunning piece. I love it, and I'm so looking forward to getting it done. Alright, y'all, this is Nancy, Miller's Custom Stuff. Y'all have a fantastic day.